Yeah, so talking about high-performing cultures in organisations, especially in times of real volatility and change, is never more important because there's two factors that come from it. First of all, there's a transparency, telling people this is what high performance looks like for us. And then there's a consistency about this is how we deliver it. So that gives people a sense of confidence that whatever else is going on around you, your capability of delivering becomes what they can rely upon. So what we're going to talk about is break that down into its composite parts. Some of it is going to be talking about what is your clear sense of purpose, what is the mission that you're aiming for. The second thing is what are the behaviours that you can guarantee you and everyone around you will buy into and deliver relentlessly. And then the third bit is about how do we equip ourselves to navigate what I call the arc of change, the different stages that all organisations go through, especially in times of turbulence. Well, there's a really interesting project that was done by Google. It was commissioned about 10 years ago called Project Aristotle, where they did a meta-analysis of all diverse teams and looked at what are the factors that create high performance. And what they found was there's no formula for a high-performing team. You can have teams with high conflict, you can have teams that get on incredibly well. They all have the capacity to be high-performing. But what they did find was there was two factors that if they weren't present, high performance couldn't occur, regardless of the talent in the room. So the first factor was people needed to feel that they were included, that they had a voice. And this is where diversity becomes really important. Diversity of thought, as well as for all the other definitions that we understand, become important, that people, regardless of where they come from, need to feel that they belong and they have a voice and they can speak and be heard. The second factor is the concept of something called psychological safety. That means that you need to feel that not only can you speak, but you're safe to do so without feeling that you're going to be ridiculed or isolated or made to feel ridiculous on the back of it. So when we talk about inclusivity and diversity, these are two factors that are not nice to haves. It doesn't matter what the team is, whether it's in sport, whether it's business or in education. We need to invest time to deliver these two factors to give people the opportunity to play to their own potential. Yeah, so I like the idea that it's a famous quote from Damian Hughes, who founded The Body Shop, that says, if you think you're too small to make a difference, try going to bed with a mosquito in your room. Because the point she was making was that anyone can be a leader. Leadership isn't about having a title or a status of being a leader. Anyone can lead and set an example and establish standards of behaviour, regardless of your title. So I'd encourage anybody to get away from this idea that leadership is about a title or a particular position and see that we can all lead in our own way. I think one of the biggest factors that often stops high performance occurring when you're taking a team through change is something that's called Cantor's Law. It's named after a lady called Rosbeth Moss Cantor, a Harvard psychologist, that says everything always looks like a failure in the middle. So whatever you do, whether it's a New Year's resolution, whether you're setting out on a grand ambitious plan in the workplace, there is always going to be a bit in the middle where you're too far to go back, but you're not far enough to get to the end. And that's the moment where your morale starts to decline, your patience starts to snap, and your cynicism starts to rise. And that's when most people give up. Your ability to withstand Cantor's Law and the pressure that comes with it is the difference between good and great. And I'd encourage people to work out techniques, tactics, tips that they can adopt that allow them to cope with the pressure of that middle stage, to be able to keeping on with their ambitions, because that is the difference between good and great. Well, events like what InX deliver for so many leaders are phenomenal, because giving people the opportunity to stop their busy day-to-day lives and often just put the foot on the ball, stop, take a breath and reflect on what am I doing and am I doing it as well as I can, are essential. That we get caught up in this cult of busyness, the idea that we constantly have to be going from one thing to another. We have this horrible phrase of a hustle culture out there, people thinking you constantly have to be grinding. And I think what There's a great phrase that I remember somebody saying to me, that the fastest sport in the world, Formula One, is won by the people that manage to do their pit stops better than others. So it's not defined by speed, it's defined by who manages to brake and rest effectively. And I think what InX are doing here is giving people a pit stop from their busy lives to allow them to stop, reflect and just adjust their sense of direction on whatever journey they're on.